Hello, good morning, students of class 12 Commerce. Welcome to Panda Sir's virtual class on development economics. And today's topic of discussion is the objectives of the Planning Commission of India. Yesterday, we discussed a little about the Planning Commission, what is the Planning Commission, and what is the job of the Planning Commission, why at all we set up a Planning Commission, what is its need in an economy. But today we will be discussing in detail the objectives, that means the different areas or different section of the economy that are planned by the Planning Commission of India. So once again, point wise we will discuss. So coming to the first point, the Planning Commission of India works for the economic growth of the economic growth of the nation. So students, just keep it in your mind that by the phrase economic growth we understand strictly more GDP, that is gross domestic product. When the amount of domestic product or the income generated in the domestic territory of our nation rises, then the result is called the economic growth. The economy is said to be growing. So the Planning Commission makes different plans, study data, and design different strategy to achieve economic growth, that is more production of goods and services in the economy. So what is the chain of sequence or chain of effect when a nation tries to increase the production? We will start from the beginning, that the nation decided to increase the production of goods and services in the economy. For that it needs more investment. So when there is more investment, it generates more income, hence the level of income, the aggregate or general level of income in the economy rises. So when employment and income level rises, only in that case more production of goods and services is possible and the economy grows or develops. But when planning for the economic growth in a nation, the Planning Commission must put in its mind that the factor of welfare. That means in order to achieve mere growth or in order to produce more goods and services in the economy, the Planning Commission never can ignore or underestimate the welfare status of the economy. So that is the first point, economic growth. And here it is the job of the Planning Commission to design different strategy for achieving rapid economic growth in the nation. Then coming to the second point, modernization. It's a technical term. So what first we would understand the meaning of modernization. Modernization means shifting from traditional technology to updated or modern technology. So technology of production, when it comes to technology of production, we can till our land with the help of a pair of bullock, or we can till our land with the help of a tractor. So when we shift from bullock to tractor, it is said to be an improvement in the technology. So when technology improves, obviously what are the chain of sequence that follows with an improvisation of technology? Technology improves, it results in reduction of cost. Reduction of cost results in more profit. When cost reduces and price becomes same. So here two things can happen. Either the entrepreneur would be earning more profit when there is a reduction of cost due to improvised technology, or the entrepreneur will be able to provide the same goods and services with cheaper rate. So in both the cases, the welfare of the people is there. So in the first case, when the profit margin increases for the entrepreneur, now the entrepreneur would be left with more surplus income, and which will result in improvisation or increase in the level of investment, and again as a result that would contribute to more production. More investment means more production, better employment opportunity and more income. So thus modernization of technology results in a growth in GDP, hence it contributes to the improvisation or the development of an economy. So while choosing modern technology, the planning commission must consider the welfare involved with it. So in order to choose modern technology, for example, suppose in a populous country like India, where we have plenty of human resources who are unemployed, and we need to provide them employment in order to make their purchasing power improved. So in such a country, the planning commission cannot resort to such a technology that eliminates manpower and introduce the use of machines. Because with the introduction of machines, no doubt the cost of production will reduce, but at the same time there would be plenty of unemployment. The level of unemployment in the economy would increase, which is harmful for a populous country like India. So the planning commission, it is the duty of the job of the planning commission to make a suitable adjustment between selection of modern technology and taking care of the welfare of the nation. And coming to the third point, it is self-reliance. Self-reliance in the production of food grain, self-reliance in the production of other goods and services that are usually consumed in an economy. Self-reliance, we become self-reliant. What does it mean? It means that what we need, we are able to produce that indigenously. That means using our technology and our territory in our own country, we are able to produce that thing. So we are self-reliant. So what are the benefits of self-reliance? The benefit of self-reliance is that if we were not self-reliant, then we would have to import those goods and services what we have to consume from other countries, and we have to pay in terms of foreign exchange. Thus, the total stock of foreign exchange with us would reduce. There would be a leakage in the stock of total foreign exchange with us, which is not good for an economy. So, the more foreign exchange we have, the stable our economy is. That's why if we become self-reliant, then obviously we would be saving a lot of foreign exchange, and it would raise the status of our economy economically. Then coming to the fourth point, it is full employment. Full employment refers to a condition where in an economy all the available and known resources are employed in two ways, that is fully and efficiently. But it's hardly possible that any economy operates at full employment equilibrium, because over full employment equilibrium, what we will be discussing in our later chapters, that there could be three conditions as far as as far as the level of employment is concerned. There could be three possible conditions for an economy, that full employment equilibrium, where all the available and known resources are fully and efficiently employed. I would like to elaborate these two terms. Fully means no one is unemployed, and efficiently means what he can do the best, he is engaged. One resources, we all know that resources are use specific. That means the same resources can be put into many uses, but there is only one job or one use where it can deliver the best. So we will say the economy is the resources are efficiently employed only and only when the resources are put into their optimal use, means in the use where they are the best. So it is full employment. Achieving full employment equilibrium is the goal, is the dream of all the planning authority, and our planning commission also use different monetary and fiscal policies to achieve the goal of full employment equilibrium. So what are monetary and fiscal policy? Monetary policy of the government or central bank refers to the policy that is related to the injection or leakages of purchasing power or money into the money market. Means under this policy the central bank or the government reduces the money supply or increases the money supply. But fiscal policy means it is budgetary policy. Budgetary means the things that are related to two things, that is income and expenditure of the government. So using different tools related to monetary and fiscal policy, the economy or the central government or the planning commission tries to bring full employment equilibrium in the nation or in the economy. And coming to the last point, it is equitable distribution of national income. This is quite important because it is related to welfare rather than development. Equitable, what exactly we mean by the phrase equitable distribution of national income? That means if all the factors are getting their lawful or rightful returns, then we will say that the economy, the national income is distributed equally. But that's again hardly a condition that is possible, because we always find that a certain gap between the rich and the poor. For example, more than 80% of our national income goes to a mere 20% of the population, whereas only 20% of our national income is distributed among 80% of the remaining population. So we can never say that such a condition is equitable distribution of national income. So using its different monetary and fiscal policy, the planning commission or the central government or with the help of the RBI or Reserve Bank of India always tries to reduce the gap between rich and poor. For example, we can say imposing more tax on rich people and giving subsidies to the poor. So when poor are given subsidy, their purchasing power increases, and when more tax is imposed on rich people, their purchasing power reduces, and in that way the nation can reduce the gap between rich people and poor people. So this is all about planning commission and its objectives, and in our next class we will be discussing sector-wise the role of planning commission. How the planning commission makes a plan related to different sector like primary, like secondary, like tertiary, to bring the overall development of a nation. So, any doubt you can ask me. Thank you and have a nice day.